Waves are crashing right up over this dock.
The catastrophic storm surge already flooding homes and entire towns.
You have Caldwell Banker, which has water up just about to their first step. That's the bank over there.
The power outage is growing by the hour. Buildings torn apart. A television station forced to evacuate their meteorologists.
The situation that has developed here at the station, and that is that the water getting close to the building.
A days-long onslaught just getting underway as this slow-churning monster storm stalls.
The lethal conditions unfolding right now and the hurricane's latest path on this ABC News special report.
And we do say good morning, everyone, from ABC News headquarters in New York. I'm Candace Gibson with Stephanie Ramos. Our nonstop coverage of Hurricane Florence continues right now. Here's the latest.
We're getting new video this morning from Bern, coming out of Bern, North Carolina, which has been hit the hardest overnight with more than 10 feet of floodwater reported. There are reports that at least 150 people need to be rescued, with reports of some of them on top of their homes or trapped in cars. And you can see from that video there that the storm surge, and you can hear the wind.
Yeah, so as the storm moves ashore, the biggest concern right now is what you're looking at right now. The storm surge expected to be 11 feet across North Carolina, nearly 200,000 power outages. We just got an update from the National Weather Service. We'll check in with Sam Champion in a moment because there was something interesting that happened with that storm that is very ominous that we just learned. But in the meantime.
Yeah, we've been speaking with correspondents and emergency responders this morning. They're with us. They continue to be with us this morning to bring us the very latest on this story. And we begin our coverage this half hour with ABC's Victor Okendo, who is in Jacksonville, North Carolina, where, Victor, the winds are kicking up.
The winds are picking up, and they've just been relentless all night long, Stephanie. I'm kind of protected right now by this wall, but if I just take, a few steps out, you'll be able to tell even stronger out here, and the rains just have not stopped all night. Our hotel, it lost power here pretty early on. Storm surge continues to be the main concern here in Jacksonville. Could be looking at somewhere in the ballpark of about 11 feet, which would just be devastating. Inland flooding, of course, a major worry as well. We've checked in with the emergency management officials here. They say that there are reports of major structural damage to buildings, to homes, to businesses. We've heard of a local high school that has been flooded as well. So Jacksonville, where we are right now, we're about 20 miles inland from the coast, but we were down there not just a few hours ago, and we saw Hurricane Florence making its approach. And we're down there near the mouth of the New River, which runs from the coast up here through the city of Jacksonville. And that creates kind of a unique problem. They're expecting a 1-2 punch. First, the hit from the initial storm, and then the inland flooding. As I mentioned, that storm surge could be somewhere around 11 feet. The winds and the rain have just been relentless. I heard Sam just a few minutes ago say that the eye wall is quickly approaching the area now, so we're definitely starting to feel that here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, these are scenes to me, Victor, you see him get bounced around, reminiscent of watching you in Puerto Rico during Maria. So you've been through some pretty powerful storms. Not sure if you can hear me very well. How's it feeling? How's it sounding right now?
I got you. Well, Hurricane Maria, obviously nearly a Category 5 storm, so that was very powerful as well. I think right now these are some of the strongest winds that we have felt since we've been out here overnight. Winds are significantly picking up out here. The rain has just been nonstop. You could just hear it pounding against the walls and the windows inside the hotel all night. This is about, again, as strong as we felt it all night long. And now with that eye wall approaching, I guess this is what we have to look forward to for the foreseeable future.
And we're looking at images there from Jacksonville, some structural damage that has taken place there. School flooded, equipment damage. Have you seen any structural damage there where you are?
Driving around town last night, we actually saw a few transformers just blowing left and right. You'd start to see those sparks fly in the air. Some gas stations as well, parts of it just ripped right off. Nothing quite like what they're seeing over in New Bern, just, about 20, 30 miles away from here. But there are reports, again, of structural damage to homes and businesses here in Onslow County, which is where Jacksonville's located.
All right, we're going to check back in with you all down there, but stay safe there, Victor. Appreciate the coverage. Jacksonville does look like it's being hit really, really hard.
Dios
So the
mío,
4
ten
a.m. update came from the National
misericordia.
Weather Service, obviously just about 5. They do it just before the top of the hour. And there was something that Sam Champion noted there that it's especially ominous, even at this point in this storm.
Yeah, and I would just, while we stay on that picture of Victor's live shot, take a look at that, because that's a 76 mile per hour wind just reported in that Jacksonville area. Take a look at those winds. Now, that is strong hurricane force winds right there whipping through there. So, Morehead City, the other thing I want to tell you, we just reported there's a 5.5 foot surge in Morehead City. New Bern, we know, was a 10-foot surge. And then, yes, sir. So in the 4 a.m., what we call this is a repositioning. The Hurricane Center says, okay, here's where the storm is, here's what the wind field is, here's where it's moving again. So we have a 90 mile per hour max sustained wind, which is still a Cat 1 storm. It is still moving to the west-northwest at about 6 miles per hour, which is a slow crawl. Not good news, because it just means it's still sitting there, and those people are underneath it, who have been underneath it now for hours and hours. Here's what Candace is talking about, that I mentioned to the meteorologist who's working. We've got like 3 of them on right now, but to one of them that we were talking to, 955, which is down a little bit. So when you see the pressure drop, and Max, thank you for putting the radar up, and stay on it just a little bit, because I'm going to talk about this. When you see the pressure drop, that's usually the storm strengthening a little bit. So when you see the pressure drop a lot, you change categories, and if it doesn't change categories, it means the wind field is spreading out. But we've seen this before. What I didn't like about it was the eye looked very open for a while, and then there's the open part. Now look at that. Look at how it looks like it's tightening. It looks like you're getting a whole new eye right there. This storm is within 30 miles of the coast. See, when you get half of a storm inland like this and the other half in the ocean, this thing is supposed to be weakening. Yeah. But this one isn't. So just about every time we've tried to say what this storm is going to do, there's been just a little twist in the story here. So there you see another round of storms retightening in the center there. So why is that happening? Possibly because that water along the coastline is so warm that this center of this storm is just kind of working with that warm water right there along the coastline. Normally, that's what it takes to see what we're seeing right there. But, okay, you're saying, why do I care, Sam? That's bad news. Yeah, it's bad news because it means we don't have a weakening storm. It means this storm is still every bit as strong as it was 6 hours ago. Wow. And so as it wobbles along the coastline, if we were at all hoping that the storm was weakening and things would get better for these folks, that's not happening. So I need you to stay where you are, even if it's not like Surf City, you're just now like, boom, right there. There's the last image. You're seeing those storms that are just offshore of Surf City, Topsail, that whole area that hadn't seen really, really bad storms yet. That's a whole new area developing right there.
Did we get a sense that it had an eye wall replacement, and that's why the
such a tough thing with these? It's one of those things that was it in a prolonged eye wall replacement cycle? They go through them all the time, and it can take hours for that to happen. And in fact, what happens is you'll build the eye of the storm, and then it'll start to spread out and spread out and spread out, and then it'll reform the eye again. Then it'll spread out and spread out and spread out, and that's usually the sign of a strengthening storm, which is what I don't even want to think about with this one. It's just I don't foresee that. I think we'll stay where we are, but it certainly is well organized, which is not what you want when it's not moving and it's still right there. Still hasn't even made a closer approach to Wilmington than when we went on the air at 2 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. The water temperatures there off Wilmington, 87 degrees. That's the sort of stuff that these storms, of course, we've said before, feed on. And it appears, as far as the indications and numbers we're getting, that this storm is feeding off something there.
Yeah, we're not giving up on this storm anytime soon, is the bad news.
And Sam, back in 2010, Wilmington set a record of 19 inches of rain. And that was